All right, let's talk about that one question every project manager has, the one that kind of keeps you up at night. Are we really on track? Or are we just cruising along, totally oblivious, about to drive right off a cliff? Well, today, we're going to figure out how to answer that question with actual data, not just a gut feeling. So, let's kick things off with a super common scenario. Picture this. You are exactly halfway through your project's timeline, and you've spent exactly half the budget. I mean, it looks perfect, right? Everything seems balanced. So, are you on schedule? Your first instinct is to say, yeah, of course. But that's the trap. Because this is where that neat little illusion completely shatters. On the surface, yeah, time and money look fine. But the reality is, you've only actually finished a quarter of the work. You've burned through half your time and half your cash to get just 25% of the job done. And the brutal truth? You're not on track. You are in very, very deep trouble. And this gets us to the heart of the problem, what I think of as the project health puzzle. You see, looking at time and money as separate things just doesn't work. It's like trying to build a jigsaw puzzle when you're missing half the pieces. You just can't see the real picture. So here's the fundamental rule, the big takeaway. If you want to know what's really going on with your project, you have to measure three things, and you have to measure them together. You need scope, you need schedule, and you need resources. They're all tangled together. You can't just look at one and ignore the others. So, how do we actually do that? How do we connect all those puzzle pieces? Well, that brings us to the hero of our story today, a really powerful methodology called Earned Value Management, or EVM for short. And at its core, EVM is just a system that does exactly what we've been talking about. It integrates your scope, your schedule, and your costs. It's not about looking at a calendar on the wall or a bank statement in your hand. It's about combining all of it to give you one single, unified, and honest view of how your project is performing. Okay, so how does this magic actually work? Well, it all boils down to tracking three key numbers, three key metrics. And once you understand these three, you understand everything. Let's break them down. First up, we have planned value, or PV. Now, think of PV as your roadmap. It's your original plan. At any point in time, the PV tells you the value of the work you should have done by now. It's the yardstick you're going to measure everything against. Next, we have actual cost, or AC. This one's the easy one, right? It's basically your project's bank statement. It is the cold, hard cash that has left your account. No fluff, no estimates. It's what you've actually spent so far. And finally, we have the most important, the most powerful piece of this puzzle, earned value, or EV. This is the real game changer. EV represents the value of the work you have actually finished, measured by your original budget. It's not about time passing or money spent. It's about the real, tangible progress you have made. You know, the easiest way to think about this is to see them as three simple questions. Your planned value, PV, asks, how much work should we have done by now? Your earned value, EV, asks, okay, but how much work is actually done? And finally, actual cost, AC, asks, all right, and how much did it cost us to get that work done? That's it. Those three questions tell you everything. So imagine you get your three numbers, and you see this story. The plan, your PV, is way up here. It's what you were aiming for. But the reality of what you've actually finished, your EV, is way down here. It's the lowest value. And what you've spent, your AC, is somewhere in the middle, but it's still way more than the value you've actually earned. Just looking at that relationship, you know instantly, without a doubt, you are behind schedule and you are over budget. All right, so we've got our three core metrics. We understand what PV, EV, and ACR are. Now for the fun part. Let's put them to work and use them to calculate our project's vital signs, to give it a proper health check. I mean, having the data is great, but numbers are just numbers. How do we turn them into a real diagnosis? How do we get a clear, simple answer to those two critical questions? Are we on schedule? And are we on budget? Well, let's tackle schedule first. The calculation is surprisingly simple. You just take the value of the work you've actually done, that's your earned value, and from that, you subtract the value of the work you were supposed to do, your planned value, and what's left is your schedule variance, or SV. And interpreting it is even easier. If that number, your SV, is negative, you're behind schedule. Simple as that. You've earned less value than you planned to. If it's positive, hey, congratulations, you're actually ahead of schedule. Now, let's do the same thing for your budget. And you might notice a pattern here. We start with the exact same number, the value of the work we've done, our earned value, but this time we subtract what it actually cost us to do that work, our actual cost. And that gives us our cost variance, or CV. And you guessed it, the rule is just as simple. If your cost variance is negative, you're over budget. It means it cost you more money than the value you actually produced. If it's a positive number, you're under budget. You're getting more bang for your buck. But this is where EVM goes from being useful to being kind of magical. It's not just about diagnosing where you are right now. It's also like having a little crystal ball to help you predict where you're going to end up. And this is so, so important. Knowing you're off track is one thing. That's hindsight. But knowing by how much you're going to miss your final budget if things don't change, that's foresight. And that is powerful stuff. EVM does this using a forecast called the Estimate at Completion, or EAC. Basically, it looks at how efficient you've been so far and uses that to project a new, more realistic final cost for the entire project. It's a reality check. It answers that really tough question, okay, if we keep going like this, what's the real price tag going to be? So let's pull all this back and wrap it up. Why should you go through all this trouble? What's the real power you get from this kind of insight? Well, here's the bottom line. Earned value management brings scope, schedule, and cost into one single clear picture. It gives you incredibly early warning signs when things are starting to go wrong. It lets you replace those vague, anxious gut feelings with cold, hard, data-driven facts. It measures everything in dollars, which is a universal language everyone from the CEO to the project team can understand. And ultimately, it answers the only two questions that really truly matter. Where are we now, and where are we headed? So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. The next time you have to report on your project's progress, what story are you going to tell? Is it going to be a story told by a calendar, just about time passing? A story told by a bank statement, just about money spent? Or are you going to tell the real, complete story, the one about the actual, tangible value you and your team have created? The choice is yours.